the critical acclaim of the Paddington films, Paul King is back to direct Wonka, exploring the origins of a young Willy Wonka before the events of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Timothee Chalamet takes on the role in the early days of his career as a chocolatier. In an opening very reminiscent to Sweeney Todd arriving in London, Wonka sails a boat to a city where he's ready to make his fortune in chocolate, only to learn that it's run by a chocolate cartel. This trio of corporate candy men will do anything to keep control of the candy industry, especially from someone with such unique chocolate vision as Wonka. While this premise sounds promising in its wackiness, I felt like it was really missing the magic and whimsy that I was expecting, especially from the director of the Paddington films, which showcased King's ability to seamlessly bring in that energy with charm. There are some creative design elements, but the majority of this film felt very flat to me, almost green screen-like. Even the scrumptious and wildly named candies that Wonka creates didn't even look like they tasted good, they just looked like CGI. Timothee Chalamet attempts to bring some eccentricity to Wonka, but ultimately he just felt like movie star Timothee Chalamet. There are times when Chalamet tries to be wholesome and charming, but it just comes across as awkward and trying too hard.
Quiet up and listen down. Nope, scratch that, reverse it.
I ended up going back and rewatching the first two films, and I thought that they brought so much more dynamic and interest to the role of Willy Wonka, and also like a selfishness and a darkness that's really missing from this film. Along with the Chocolate Mafia, Wonka also deals with Mrs. Scrubbit, who felt like a combination of Sweeney Todd's Mrs. Lovett, Matilda's Miss Trunchbull, and Les Mis' Madame Thénardier, and she tricks Wonka into laundry servitude to pay back his debts. Which leads me to another problem with this film, which is that while Coleman tries to do the best with what she's given, much of this film feels like it's pulling inspiration from better musicals and not doing it well. And for those who might not have realized from the trailer, yes, this is indeed a musical. Unfortunately, the music itself is laughably bad and forgettable. We're introduced to Wonka's fellow laundry workers in this unoriginal working song, possibly titled Scrub Scrub, and then there's this sentimental song sung by Noodle that had so much potential, but it's ruined by Wonka trying to find words that rhyme with Noodle. Later on, we even get to see Wonka and Noodle in this scene that felt very much like it was pulled from The Greatest Showman, again taking ideas from another better musical. One of the most laugh out loud moments was during the song where Wonka is solemnly singing "Sorry Noodle" over and over again in this like weird interlude. This film also suffers from pacing issues. It introduces more interesting storylines like the chocolate cartel, like the Oompa Loompa, really late in the game, and a lot of the supporting cast members from Hugh Grant to Keegan-Michael Key to Rowan Atkinson felt like glorified cameos. Like they didn't really add much to the story. In other instances, I felt like there were too many characters, like with the laundry workers, where they're trying to share this message of found family that ends up falling flat because you don't really get to truly know these characters. I will say though, Calla Lane gives one of the best performances of the film as the hopeful but skeptical Noodle. Sorry Noodle, but Wonka is mediocre. As someone who is like a huge musical theater lover, this film tried to bring in all of these elements that were reminiscent of other musicals in a very unoriginal way, and it just has a musical soundtrack that you will soon forget. After loving the magic and whimsy of the Paddington films, I gotta say, this was a really disappointing turn for King. Let me know what you think. Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and if you want to talk more TV and movies with me outside of the comments section, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/kmaldo. If you like this one, you can check out more of my videos right over here. See ya!